Hey, oh, hey. Thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you. Do you know I am over 3,000 subscribers? Yeah, I am. I am. I misspoke earlier. I said I had gotten 2K. No, I had 2,700. Okay, 2,700 from a little over a week ago, and I haven't been putting anything on my channel. So in just this week, I've gone from 2,700 to over 3,000. So I've gained roughly 300 subscribers. So I thank each and every one of you. I'm so excited and so appreciative of that. So yeah, I misspoke. Sorry about that. So thank you. Again, I am going to be sharing, as I said before, some opinions, some life lived lessons, some observations. I'm going to talk a little bit about dating. I'm going to talk about, parenthood, parenting, being parented as well as parenting, and parenting the parents. I'm going to talk a little bit about maybe career and employment, and all these things are going to be based on my lived experiences. Okay, it's going to be some story time stuff, and I'm going to try to tie in to some lessons learned that maybe some of you all could either use for yourself, or maybe some people that particularly young people. Listen, folks, us senior people, or not senior, but us seasoned people, we've done pretty much what we're going to do for the most part, and the best thing that we can do is try to help the younger generation learn from the things we did well as much as the things we didn't do well. Also, dating. Speaking of dating, let's just get started with it, shall we? So, for those of you who are new, I'm letting you know that me and my husband have been together for 6 years. We've been married for 5. We met on a dating website. I reached out to him, right? He'd seen my profile, but he didn't reach out to me because of all the things I'd listed, my accomplishments, the accoutrements, if you will, of success. And he didn't think that someone of my stature would be interested in a truck driver. And the reason why I'm talking about this is because I saw this video I want to talk about. Let's go.
Hold on 1 second, Kay. Yeah. Do you consent to be on a platform and potentially all platforms?
Yes, I consent.
Okay.
So I am plus size, and I feel like it's making me get in my head about dating. I've actually never had a boyfriend. Up until now, I considered myself a lesbian, but I've been trying to date more men. I've always been bisexual, but I just find that women are a lot more accepting, and I've never really felt the same sort of level of attraction and want as a woman. So I would love any advice that you could give. I'm almost 400 pounds, but I do, I feel like I look cute. I have a really nice shape. People always tell me that they don't think I weigh that much, but I think it's more mental. I know that men want to enjoy my body, but I've never had anyone really want me for me, I guess. And it's also a little bit difficult to date because I am high earning. I'm a full-time content creator, and whenever I meet guys, I usually tell them I'm a teacher, because I am a Hebrew teacher, but you get those comments oh, you're big money, you're this, and I'm trying to avoid that. I don't even bring over to my apartment because of that. So I want the truth, and any compliments, or not compliments, advice you can give me to level up.
So I will say this. There is a group of men in the world who love plus size women, right? I say most African men, most Caribbean men like a full figure woman. I know that for sure. Have you dated men who are African from the continent? Have you dated Caribbean men?
So I live here in Houston, Texas, and I get approached and stopped. Literally, they will not let me get out of my car, or they'll be blocking me in by Africans all the time.
Really?
But I feel like there's a lot of cultural differences. And, a lot of African men, they expect their women to be a certain way, don't do this, don't do that. And I just find that it never works out. Also, I feel like a lot of African guys, they don't have that quote unquote swag, They're like, oh, there's no girls in my village like you. But I'm like, yeah, I'm not going back to your village. And then
I don't mean respectfully, I don't mean an African man who's straight from the continent, who just arrived here this year. You know,
Right.
maybe someone who's more they've lived here a bit longer. They've lived in America a little bit longer. I
Right.
would say a good +10 years. They're more
Yeah.
like Americanized, I would have to say.
And then I believe the way that I carry myself and even the way that I speak, I prefer black men, but they're always like, oh, you date white guys, don't you? And so I work at a synagogue, so most of the people that I'm around are white, but I prefer to date black. So it's kind of like, people have one perception of me and they tend to put me in a box, but it's kind of hard because I feel like, too quote unquote white, even though I'm fully black for black men. But then for white guys, I tend to get fetishized. So I'm
So this would be my advice to you, Ken. If I'm keeping it real, I would want you to drop the weight. I would want you to lose weight. And you said you're 400 pounds, right, Ken?
I'm 365 pounds. And for any women that are looking for plus size clothes, follow me because I post every day.
All right. So I want us to get the weight down. Can we start with 100 pounds? Can we start there?
So I actually lost 130 pounds 2 years ago, and I was getting approached a lot, but I feel like a lot of women go through like body dysmorphia, and people were treating me so differently that I almost didn't know how to handle it. Like it was giving me a lot of anxiety. So I do believe if I dropped weight, it would be helpful. Even my mother says that. She's like, well, if that's the only thing you think that,
Yeah.
is not working for you, change it. But I felt like even when I changed it, I was getting approached by more men, but not like the quality of men that I would want.
And what type of man do you want specifically? How much money does he make? What's his lifestyle like? What is his character? Can you describe that for me?
So let's get into it. At first blush, I think this young woman is very pretty, beautiful skin. She seems to be very poised, smart, and friendly. Okay, that at first blush. Again, this is just an observation. I am going to say a couple of things that some of you may not like, but again, it is in the spirit of love, in spirit of love. When I was dating before I met my husband, I would by the time I met him, I was 215 pounds, and when we got married in a little less than a year, I got to 230. Now he thought I was beautiful when he met me, because kind of like her, I don't know if she's tall, but I'm tall. So the way I carried my weight, I didn't look like I weighed 215 pounds, very proportionate. But I will say I began to feel self-conscious about it. And even though like I said, he fell in love with me when I was 215 and got married to me when I was 230, it was just something about the confidence I didn't have, because I'm just going to go ahead and keep it 1,000 with you, one thou wow, as a young buck, as a young diva, your 80 was fine. So your 80 was fine. You understand me? And then when even after I had my daughter, got my weight down to, because when I got pregnant with her, I was 150, got up to 196 when I had her, then got down to 170. So, and then on active duty military. So, I had to keep it in physical fitness, physical shape. So yeah, Amy was fine. And after I turned 40, when my weight started to shift and it was harder to lose the weight that I was gaining, I didn't realize how much it crept up on me, okay? And once I crossed over into the 200 land, it was really difficult, really, really difficult. And it affected my confidence. It did. So I think we have to be honest with ourselves. And sometimes it's hard for us to do, because we don't want to accept what is right in front of us. We don't want to accept that we are obese. And we will say we're curvy and we're plus size, and all that is true. But we are obese. And as Ashley is going to say later in the video, whether we like it or not, we live in a superficial society. And men as well as women are, the first attractions are physical ones. You know, you may find out that they have a great personality or they have a crappy personality, but your first attention is drawn to the physical looks. And the type of man that she is going to say that she wants, and I'll play that in a minute, most are not going to be attracted to someone who weighs almost 400 pounds. And that is just the long and the short of it. You know, my daughter, my only biological child, she is plus size. When she was starting to gain weight in college, I, tried to encourage her, but that is a journey that, each has to fight on their own. But as a parent, as a mother, it was hard for me to try to encourage her without her thinking that I was, talking down to her. So I'm sure that this mom is treading lightly because she doesn't want to discourage her daughter. But I'm sure also that mother is concerned because any mother who's a good mother wants their child to find love, true love, that someone's going to love them and take care of them and cherish them. And I'm grateful that my daughter found that. But one of the things also I knew that as you get older, it's harder to get it off, especially after you have children. So let's fast forward to when I met my husband. Well, actually, before I met my husband. One of the first conversations we had, because I dated the guy that I dated before him, was not my usual type. But I tried to, be outside the box. Okay, and this gentleman, we dated for 3 months, wonderful man. And, I've talked about him, how he was a good guy. But, there is such a thing as moving too slow. Okay. Dating for 3 months and he hadn't even tried to kiss me, not even once. Okay. But at any rate, one of the things that was off-putting is that he was missing quite a few teeth. Now, if I'm talking to you, because I had some teeth back here in the wisdom that were pulled that I needed to had implants put in. But when I was talking, you couldn't tell that there were any spaces in my mouth. If I'm talking to you and I can see spaces in your mouth, that's a problem. Okay. So when I met my husband, I said it in jest, but I meant it. I said, is it too much to ask for a man to have all of his teeth? Is it too much to ask for a man not to have man boobs? And he said, no, it's not too much. So I've said that to say, if we women we have an idea of what our preferences are. For one, them not to have man boobs and for them to have all of their teeth. Okay? Whether they're implants or not. They have the same expectation that they want their women to be within a certain weight. And we have to own that. It's not nice to hear, but it's a real. I want to listen to her video, but real quick. Hold on a second.
People were treating me so differently that I almost didn't know how to handle it. Like, it was giving me a lot of anxiety. So I do believe if I dropped weight, it would be helpful. Even my mother says that. She's like, well, if that's the only thing you think that, is not working for you, change it. But I felt like even when I changed it, I was getting approached by more men, but not like the quality of men that I would want.
And what type of man do you want specifically? How much money does he make? What's his lifestyle like? What is his character? Can you describe that for me?
For sure. Definitely a high earner just because I am. Over 100K a year, which is kind of hard. I'm honestly not too big on finances. I mean, of course I am, but I feel like with men, especially black men, some of them are just not there yet. But I care about education. on my dating apps, when I use them, I always like try to filter out people that have like a graduate degree or above, high earning. I am not too big. I mean, of course, gotta be heat in the face, but I'm not against dating someone who's bigger because I am bigger. But really, like, you know, fun, a sense of travel and adventure. I actually went on a 30-day road trip to Alaska. So
Okay, so let's talk about that. Ladies, one of the things we have to be mindful of, what we are asking for, we need to be sure that we're offering that. Okay? We need to be sure that we're offering the same things that we're asking for. And I'm not telling you what to do or not do. I'm just saying what I've learned. Okay? But let's talk about the weight for a minute. Remember, I was sharing about the teeth. It's a matter of self-care. And what I mean by that, because it says a lot about you. Because say, for instance, the gentleman I was talking about, you know, he was a sheriff, had benefits. So it says to me that he did not take enough interest or responsibility in his own oral hygiene. That's important because it's a health issue. The same can be said for our weight. It's a health issue. And before you say, okay, you're fat shaming, or it could be, you know, people that are thin can have health problems, that is all true. All of it is true. But it does not negate the correlation that I'm talking about. When we see a person that does not take care of their teeth when they have the resources to do it, like the gentleman was talking about, that says that it wasn't important enough for him to do. Because again, it was within his ability to do it. The same can be said with our weight. It says that it is not important enough for us to do it. So just like we may have an expectation of what we want in a man or preference, they have the same thing. And I can honestly say, when I was dating, or in the market, it hurt my feelings that some men would be very specific as to what they wanted and what they did not want. They did not want a woman that was over a certain weight. They did not want a woman who wore wigs. But I had to kind of check myself because I'm like, well, I don't want a guy that's fat either. And I want a guy that has all of his teeth. So, we just got to, I had to kind of say, okay, all right. Anyway, I'm rambling. But that's it for now. Okay? Those are my thoughts. What are yours? Take that with you.